time. So we got, first of all, 1. Okay, now I'm going to test all the microphones.
1, 2, 3. Okay.
All right.
4.
So what I'm going to do, just to let you know, I'm going to introduce the guest. They're going to do the talk, okay? You're going to do the rest of the show. If you have any questions, that's the microphone, okay? Because I want to get you in better. Keep the question short, and all I want to do, keep the time, okay? I don't want to be something like out of control. Let's just keep it the way we get all the information. They're going to first talk, and then we're going to give you space for questions. Go ahead. Sheriff Mack, go ahead.
Okay, I have a little bit of a drive to get home tonight. Right?
Oh, yes.
So I have one rule for all the questions.
Yes.
They have to be questions.
Well, I have an idea there. Why don't you introduce yourself a little bit before we go ahead, please? And then we're going to get you more time. Come on, Sheriff Mack. Start with the floor. I prefer you start it, so in case we have any public. Sheriff Richard Mack, go ahead.
Former sheriff from Graham County. Those of you who've never heard of it. Thank you, Mark. I know you have. It's the fourth smallest county in the state, but I was sheriff during the late 80s and early 90s, and I sued the Clinton administration and beat them at the U.S. Supreme Court. Other than that, I really haven't done that much, except a grandfather of 15, a father of 5, and the husband of 1. And again, folks, don't come up to give your own talk. That'll be another meeting. If you have a question, ask a question. Can I start?
Go ahead.
Okay, I want both of you to convince me that what I've been telling people across the country is wrong. I hope I'm wrong. But I believe that no matter who wins on the audit, the other side's going to say sham, fake, corrupt, not going to work, and it's not going to do us any good no matter if Trump won by 1 million, right?
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, when I spoke to President Trump, when I spoke to President Trump, he says, once we get this audit done and it's done right, and if it says that he doesn't win, he will take that and accept the results. Unfortunately, the left doesn't want the results to come out.
No.
They're fighting us tooth and nail every inch of the way, which tells me that we're over the target. Because if it was a good election and Biden won, then why wouldn't you want us to stand up, Mark? Hashtag prove it.
Prove it!
Yeah.
All right. That's Senator Borelli. Senator Borelli spoken.
Prove it.
That's it.
That's it.
Anything you want to say?
No, I mean, just to touch on that again, it's Charlie Kirk said this when he was speaking the other day when Trump was in town in Phoenix. Because, let's say the Phoenix Cardinals won the Super Bowl. Don't you think they'd show the Super Bowl over again and over and over and over? You want to watch it over and over and over just to live in that moment? Yet, if Biden won, they don't want to shove our faces in it. So that alone is a red flag, right? If they won, they should be allowing 1,000 audits. We're going to prove to you that our guy won. But the fact that they're pushing back, that should concern everybody. This is why this audit needs to happen. And this is why us three right here, we're not giving up. I'll tell you that right now. This is something Sonny's made this point that Hillary's willing to die on. Because this is going to save the country, is this audit.
It will.
So you have our word, we're not going to stop. We're not going to stop. So.
If I can ask something, right now I follow things, bit and pieces from the internet, Facebook, some articles. Since you're here, can you please give us the official updates of where we at with the Arizona audit, please? Senator
I'd be
Borelli.
glad to. But let me let's go back to something else. Let's go with facts, because that's what we want, folks, right? Facts?
Yep.
Okay. So I'm going to read something to you, and I want to make sure that we're on the same page and you all agree with us. We must give the voters the confidence that their ballot was counted as cast by supporting mandatory, statistically meaningful post-election audits and with full transparency and all election data and results. To ensure every eligible ballot is counted, vote-by-mail voters must be informed of and provided a meaningful opportunity to fix any problems with their ballots. Would you all agree to that? Does that sound reasonable? Oh, good, because that's on page 56 of the 2020 Democrat Party platform.
Boom.
The hypocrisy is completely off the charts. These people are crazy. They have the mainstream media in their pocket. Everything that's coming out of Maricopa County Supervisor's office is complete bunk, and is being perpetrated by Maricopa County, the Secretary of State's office, and perpetuated by the mainstream media because they're lying. I can prove that. As a matter of fact, this is no longer a conspiracy theory. There's no longer a theory. We can actually prove that there's an ongoing conspiracy of obstruction and resistance coming from the Maricopa County and the Secretary of State's office. Case in point, when we finally got the courts to rule in our favor that our subpoenas were legal and enforceable, the county said, okay, well, we'll do our own audit. We'll do our own audit. And then, of course, Karen Fant says, okay, fine, let's do something. Let's work together. And they said, no. We'll do our own audit, and we'll hire Pro V&V and I forget the other name of that other company, SLI and Pro V&V. They said, well, we'll do that. Well, wait a minute, time out. One of them you can't use because you use them to certify the equipment post-election. Well, we don't care. We're going to do it anyway. So here's the thing. The Election Assistance Commission only certifies companies to certify equipment that is operating at the time of inspection. They're not authorized to do audits. The EAC does not certify companies to do audits. So the county came out and said, we already done 2 audits, and therefore this is not necessary. Well, wait a minute, time out. You did not do an audit because the EAC doesn't certify anybody to do audits. So therefore, not only that, but you're using the same companies that certified your equipment in the beginning. So it's the fox watching the hen house. We don't care. We're calling it an audit. So we did 2 audits. Well, you can call it a ham sandwich. We all know it's baloney, right? So that's when we started hiring our own people. And of course, then they come back and say, well, the people that you're using is not certified by the EAC to do an audit. Well, guess what? There is nobody that's out there that certifies audits, period. You know who has the authority to actually certify somebody to do a legitimate audit? The state legislature does.
Right.
Because we set the time, place, and manner. It's enshrined in the Constitution. And all of you are entitled to free and fair elections and equal protection under the law. Now, here's the thing. Our First Amendment rights are being attacked. Everything we're saying, you're being censored, you're being bounced and canceled off the internet. But guess what? They're also trying to censor your First Amendment rights to do what? Redress government. And you have a right to scrutinize your election. The why? It's enshrined in the Constitution that the state legislature who controls the elections. Now, we can delegate that authority to the county to run the election. The overall responsibility falls on the state legislature. This is why the courts ruled in our favor, and even the Attorney General ruled in our favor on our subpoenas, that our subpoenas are legal and enforceable. So that's where we are at the beginning. We've done the hand count. We've counted all the paper, hand count paper, counted all the bubbles. We found some anomalies. We asked the county to come to the table and help explain some of the things that we found that are either an anomaly or whatever, that we see some kind of error. And they refuse to do so. They refuse to just basically ridicule all of us and on social media. And actually, this is the other the craziest, most egregious thing. They're questioning the integrity of people of the audit that conducted the audit themselves. They're attacking a company called Cyber Ninjas. Okay, it's a goofy name that you can attack. Okay, they're a bunch of cyber guys and they made themselves a cool name. But they're literally attacking the very people that these people are sworn to represent. And that means the 2,000 volunteers of Maricopa County citizens that went through the painstaking work to count every piece of paper and count every ballot. Well, they're not certified and qualified to do this. How much qualification do you need to have to go 1 ballot, 2 ballot, 3 ballot? You understand? It's crazy. It's crazy. And for them to literally disrespect, show that much contempt towards the citizens that they're sworn to protect is completely appalling. And it's off the charts crazy. So Maricopa County supervisors should resign their post
Yeah.
because they're not even living up to their oath of office. They are hiding evidence. They're not allowing us to take a look. For example, we still need the routers, and we still need the passwords and the hardware tokens that activates the machines. Okay, we need to check those machines to make sure there's no unauthorized software on there that hooks anything to the internet or Bluetooth or whatever. They won't allow us to open that up and access it. They say, well, we don't have the passwords and we don't have the hardware tokens. Well, why don't you have that? You're supposed to maintain all that information and data and files in accordance with the law for 24 months. It's supposed to be secure. Well, we never had it. Well, if you never had the passwords and the hardware tokens, well, then who the hell ran the election? Because we heard testimony from citizens sworn under penalty of perjury that they saw no county election people touching the equipment. It was only the Dominion vendors. But the county said, no. They went on the record saying, no, we had full control. Well, if you had full control, then where is the passwords and where's the hardware tokens? Now they say, well, we don't have them. Okay, then get them from Dominion. Well, we asked for them. Dominion, we actually subpoenaed that. And Dominion says, we don't have to give them to you because it's proprietary. Guess what? You don't have to turn them over to us. Just be there, and all that hardware token is basically like a key fob. You touch the machine, whatever, it turns the thing on. Let us take a look. We're not looking to see how your key fob is manufactured, how it's made, how it's programmed. Just turn the damn machines on. They refuse to do that. Now, also the media is going crazy on a court action that American Oversight, which is a leftist organization, they perpetrate and try to promote themselves as a nonpartisan nonprofit, actually sued the Senate for FOIA requests because they wanted any correspondence between Cyber Ninjas, our contractor, and the Senate. And we said, wait, it's legislative privilege. We have an ongoing investigation. They took us to court. Courts ruled no, since they are an agent of the Senate, therefore it should be public record, and it falls into the public domain, and therefore it should disclose any of that. So, okay, well that's good. Well, guess what? We always say the sword swings both ways. Well, I like to say their sickle's going to swing both ways, because guess what? Cyber Ninjas is a contract agent for the county, so therefore the same law applies to that. So Karen Fann hit the county with FOIA requests, any correspondence between Dominion and the Secretary of State's office, even former county recorder Adrian Fontes. So we hit them up with that, and even with the subpoena, and they're still fighting our subpoena. They're not going to comply. The county's not going to comply. There was a bill that was passed years ago when Andy Biggs was in the Senate. I think he was the president of the Senate at the time, before he went to Congress. It was Senate Bill 1487. It's brilliant. What that law says, if a county or city is not complying with law, they create an ordinance that undermines state law. Any legislator can request the Attorney General to do an investigation to find out if they're in violation or not. If the Attorney General determines that they are in violation of the law, they have 30 days to remedy, which means fix it, change the ordinance or whatever. They need to comply. If they refuse to comply still, then the Attorney General has the authority under law to actually direct the state treasurer to withhold 10% of the state shared revenue. So Maricopa County, what that comes down to is about a little over $61 million. That's not peanuts. It's not peanuts, but it's a little bit of a hit. Also, defying a Senate subpoena is also a Class 2 misdemeanor. So depending on how many counts of a Class 2 misdemeanor, I would leave that up to the Attorney General's office. But you know what? They can be charged with a crime, and they can also be held with a fine. And of course, if they don't comply, I'd like to see them all perp walk. So, but this is where we are right now. The Attorney General, I'm just waiting on his response. He has 30 days to complete his investigation. As far as I'm concerned, there's already a bow on it. He had already went on the record publicly and stated that our subpoenas are legal and enforceable. While we're in session, our enforcement is trying to pass a resolution to hold the county in contempt. We tried to do that. It takes 16 votes. The makeup of the Senate is 16 Republicans, 14 Democrats. Okay. We introduced the resolution let them know about it. They know it was coming. The very following Monday, they still said they're not going to comply. We tried to pass that resolution to hold them in contempt. Unfortunately, we had one senator decide to vote with the Democrats and betray the Republican caucus.
Who is the name?
Yeah, Senator Paul Boyer.
Write it down.
Anyway, Paul Boyer voted with the Democrats, so which means we couldn't pass a resolution. If we could have passed that resolution, this is what would have happened. We could have held them in contempt, asked them to comply once again. If they refused to comply, the Senate president could have issued a warrant for the sergeant at arms to go down and take the supervisors in custody and bring them to the Senate. The law doesn't allow us to put them in jail. It just takes them into custody at the state Senate and be our guests, along with our interns down in the basement. We could have charged admission to come in and waive with the supervisors and stuff like that. But that's what the only extent we have within the law. That's our only authority. There's a big thing that's flying around out there on the internet that we don't need to pass a resolution for that. The Senate president could just issue a warrant, send the sergeant at arms down there. That's not true. You have to pass the resolution for contempt first. There is a process. Now, we're Republicans. We're all about what? The rule of law. So we need to make sure we maintain and follow the law to the T, to the letter.
Thank you.
Now, this audit's taken a long time, obviously, because of them. We wanted to do the audit there at their site under the same environment that they held the election and they did their own inspection. But they chose to push everything off-site and to include everything. Oh, yeah, I got to get back to the routers. I don't want going on and on. There's a quick question, right? One of the reasons why we want those routers.
Anything that Representative Jesucci want to add to this? Anything you want to add, Leo?
Well,
let me finish.
I'm going to let him finish because
Yeah,
I want to
finish.
talk about the House side.
Yeah. Now, this is one of the reasons why we need the routers, okay? Number one, we went to go down and pick up, because remember, they boxed up all the voting equipment and the ballots, and they wanted to dump them on our doorstep. And we had to go to the Coliseum, which cost us a ton of money to do that. So when we went to go get the routers, they said, yeah, they're boxed up, ready to come pick up. So when we went to go pick up the routers, they said at the last minute, they said, whoa, wait, we can't do that. We can't give you the routers, because if we give you those routers, there's possible law enforcement sensitive data on the routers that could compromise ongoing investigation with the sheriff's office and jeopardize officer safety. Well, number one, I immediately blew the whistle and threw out the BS flag, because I couldn't believe even the Sheriff Penzone, actually parroted that same garbage. And Sheriff Mack, maybe you can testify to this or not, because I know it's been a long time since the technology, but law enforcement is supposed to be on a sole and separate IT system. Why? To make sure that nobody can hack the system and compromise ongoing investigations or public officer safety. And it also violates the federal guidelines in partnership with the federal government for NCIC background checks. Am I right or wrong on that?
Absolutely correct.
Okay. So Sheriff Penzone is a flipping liar, and he's a disgrace to his freaking badge. Okay. I called him out on that. And then, of course, they said the health department, oh, it's going to compromise health department information. Let me tell you something, folks. The only thing that is on a router is a date and time stamp of an IP address or a MAC address. In other words, just like your phone bill, when you look at your phone bill as a date and time stamp of phone numbers you call. It doesn't have any data on what you said on the phone. It just says call came in, call came out. That's it. Same thing on a router. There's no data on there. So it's a complete lie. You know, public officials, or politicians, we kind of like, oh, there was misinformation, they misspoke, they're misleading. No, it's a flat out lie. Okay, I'm the Marine, I'm not the statesman at sometimes, okay? And these are the times I'm not going to be a statesman. You're flipping lying to everybody, and the media is perpetuating that lie, and it's a disgrace, and they're disrespecting and showing total contempt for all of us.
That's right.
Because the one thing that you have that we have that makes sure that we're a constitutional republic is what?
Voting
Our right to
vote.
vote.
That's
Anyway,
all we
I'm
have.
off my bandwagon now, but anyway.
Thank you all for coming.
Yeah. I'm just hoping the Attorney General steps up and forces these guys to comply, and that we can get these routers, and then we can see if these machines are hooked to the internet. Now, here's the thing. If it is hooked to the internet, this is how grave this is. And this is why we said this is not the hill. This is a hill I'm dying on. If these machines are hooked to the internet, And all these things we've been hearing over the months about cyberspace and boats being switched and bouncing all over the world in China and Italy and all kinds of Germany and Spain, all that stuff. That means we have foreign interference in our election.
Hell yeah.
Also, it may mean we have domestic interference.
Yeah.
Now, if we have domestic interference in concert with foreign interference, I don't know about you folks, but that scares the living hell out of me. And you know what? When I took an oath at 18 years old, there's no expiration of that oath. And this being foreign enemies, foreign and domestic,
Right.
that's a national security issue. And this is the hill I will die on.
That's right.
Forget about winning or losing. This is where it is.
All right. Before, I would like to give the floor now to the House, and I would like to give you the questions too. I didn't forget, okay? I have just a simple question. Because I'm trying to put myself, like somebody reading the news, and I'm trying to figure it out really what's happening behind closed doors. I'm not just talking about in the Senate or with the media. That's something pretty much, predictable. We're talking about here dealing with the people that, if you want to compare the mafia to these people behind, they're like Boy Scouts.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously. We're talking about people that you already see the news. How many people have suicided themselves for much less?
Yeah.
We're talking about
I'm sorry, but Matt Salmon is leaving.
Mr. Salmo. Hope to see you again, okay?
So
Thank you very much. Thank you. So the question I have for all of you guys that you are in Phoenix, okay? Senator Borelli or all the representative here, I have this question. Anything that you would like to share with us, maybe something more on the National Enquirer style, okay? Maybe a phone call, maybe an email, maybe, I don't know, a dead horse head in your bag. Because I start to really believe that this is not about belief, it's a factual. We are dealing with people that they are highly dangerous.
yes.
We are compromising these, trillions of dollars. I really believe that we've been taken over from within, from a foreign nation.
Oh, yeah.
So there is no way that the little ant, that they consider us like a little ant, even if you're a senator, you're paying the arse, but you can be a pain in the arse. You may be a little ant, but you are a pain in the arse. So anyway, I truly believe that you may probably on the blacklist, any one of you that you've been standing for the truth, and you're not being paid off, or you're not being compromised, or you didn't pee in your pants, you stood the line, I commend you. But the question is, anything you want to share with us? Maybe, I don't know, please.
Man, it's going to take a long time to unpack
Just one,
that.
just give
But-
us one juicy one.
So I think the first thing that I want to call out is Sheriff Mack is being way too humble. The case Mack Prince v. U.S., and depending upon where you read it, it could be Prince Mack v. U.S.
Yeah.
is one of the most studied cases on anti-commandeering in the history of our country. That means that the federal government cannot come in and commandeer the resources of the state. That means that the federal government cannot come in and tell the state that you will have a separate federal election administered by your election officials. Y'all want to do that? Come on into the state, but you're going to have to hire the people. You're going to have to rent the space. You're going to have to develop the ballots. You're going to have to own the whole thing because of Mr. Sheriff Mack. So he deserves a round of applause.
All right.
So I would add, yes, as Mark Fincham,
Yes, please, back to the question.
member of the House of Representatives.
Yeah.
the
Any
juicy
juicy news
The
that
juicy one you want is I'm a political arsonist. And I have two friends who joined me in the DOJ's version of a crime. They want to vilify us because we had the temerity to stand up and say, something's not right here. And our constituents have said they want us to have a public hearing on election integrity. Now, I'm going to leave this to Mr. Biasucci, but he walked in on a conversation where we were being laughed at for representing your interests about an election where everyone knows there's a case in controversy. And to this day, they do not want to admit that they were wrong. Leo, take it away.
Thank you, Mark, for that setup. No. And Mark will make the point too. On November 30th, before that election audit happened, or the hearing happened, that happened in Phoenix, and we were talking to Mayor Giuliani and Trump's team, and we're just saying, hey, what are you guys seeing? And Colonel Waldron, all these guys that were seeing all this fraud happening. They said, hey, we have testimony, we have all these witnesses that are ready to come forward. And how many people did we ask in the House?
Oh, we probably asked 30.
About who wanted to be on this panel. And this is what you guys need to know. We heard, no, it's too risky. No, I don't want to be involved. No, a lot of no's. A lot of no's of people now who are saying, oh,
I was there.
I was there and I want to help. That's the kind of problem we have in politics, right? You have people that are rhinos.
Free
You
riders.
have people who are free riders that don't want the truth.
Right.
They're just along for the ride. They
Right.
want to move up along the ladders. They'll infiltrate it. A lot of them are people who are just trying to get up, and you have ties to this person and that person. But there's a reason why the House never got involved, right? And like he said, when I walked in and I hear laughter amongst our people saying, "Oh, this is a joke," this is why I'm so grateful for Sonny in the Senate and Karen Fann, the president, and Senator Borelli, and these guys to say we're going to do something about it because our side was too weak, and that needs to change on the House side. Right? The swamp is real. Trump has talked about this to all of you, right, in DC. There's a reason why he had to fire so many people, or so many people left his administration, because they're all insiders, right? DC is a big swamp of people that never change. It's always the same people and the same staff. It was hard for him to find somebody he trusted. Same thing in Arizona. You have an establishment that's been there for years. So you see the pushback from these supervisors, right? They're Republican.
Right.
They're Republican people. They're supposed to be a part of us. Why would you not at least take a look at the election? If you have concerns, who here has a concern? Who here thinks something wasn't right? Right? There was just a poll done by Breitbart. Did you guys see that poll? Like 47%, more than people who think nothing happened. 47% think something wasn't right. So for people to push back and obstruct, including people in government, this is why we're saying you all need to pay attention. Who are the ones that are being vocal? This man right here has been vocal from day one for Secretary of State.
Yeah.
Nobody else is talking about the fraud or the election this, election that. You need to pay attention on who's speaking and who's being quiet. You need to pay attention.
Thank you.
There's a reason for that.
That's you.
There's a reason for that. You have a race coming up next year, the midterms. If people running for governor, Secretary of State, treasurer, House, Senate, if you do not vet these people, this is how they
Thank
speak in,
you.
right? This is how the Boyers get it. These are how the people that kill bills. There was a bill to pull back the mandates from the governor, right? We're going to stop this emergency orders, and he voted no. He voted no.
Representative Jesucci, speaking about killing, you're never going to kill yourself, right?
That's
Put it on
Senator
record.
Borelli said that. Mark Benjamin said that.
Can you please put it on record? You're not going to commit
On
suicide?
the record, if the Federal Bureau of Instigation
Yes.
rolls up on me, puts me in custody,
Yes.
I did not Epstein myself.
All right. Senator Morales, same story for you.
Well, for years, we thought FBI stood for forever bothering Italians. But, yes, I'm healthy. I'm actually very good spirits.
Good.
And when they keep coming after us, a lot of people kind of go, "Oh, we were getting pummeled and beat up. Oh my God, are you going to quit?" I'm like, actually, that makes me kind of go, that means we're right.
Yeah.
We're over the target.
Right.
They're scared to death of what we're going to find out.
Let me ask
No,
you a
I'm not going to
question.
kill myself.
Let me ask a question. Somebody had already previous experience and he survived a lot of suicide. Sheriff Mack, he kind of dealt with the number one
Yeah.
cause of mass suicide in the nation, dealing with the Clinton administration. Any suggestion would you have for all these boys here that they're working hard right now, how to keep their head together with their body? Maybe you can give us some tips since you made it through.
When Mark was over here and he was worried about me having his back, always have somebody having your back.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay.
So, and I'm serious about that. You guys should always be with somebody.
Yeah.
You should always be with somebody.
Hey, they got one shot. They screw up. It's their mind.
My wife has
What
suggested
saved
that
me
I,
is that 6 other sheriffs naturally joined the case.
Yeah.
Or I don't think I would have survived that.
yeah, my wife has also said, I really would prefer you ride a bike to work now instead of the car.
You need the auto starter.
Well, I have
It'll
that.
blow up.
I have that, but on the bike that I have, you can't hide anything that would go boom.
All right.
Isn't it sad?
Uh,
Just forget us.
I know it's unfortunate. I mean, and this is the thing that we've always said is the pushback we're getting just to take a look is incredible, right? The fact that the obstruction that continues, the supervisor saying, and I want to make a point really quickly about this. The supervisor's defying the subpoena, saying, we don't care, right? This is a trend now. You all need to pay attention to this as well. You have Biden who said, I don't care that I'm breaking the law on the evictions.
Right.
That's right.
I'm still going to do what I want to do. Even with the Supreme Court
He
ruling.
thinks he's got the 10%.
He thinks, yeah, right. You have the election with the Maricopa County supervisor saying, we're not going to pay attention to your subpoenas.
Right.
You have the Phoenix School District, Tucson
Right.
School District saying, we're not going to pay attention to the legislature passing the anti-vaccine,
But
anti-mask
we don't
laws
pay
that we
attention.
passed. They're saying, we're not going to pay attention. You have Tucson telling me, when I passed the bill HB 2111, well, we all did, but it was my bill for the Second Amendment sanctuary state. Tucson came out and said, we're not going to pay attention to Representative Biasucci's bill. We don't care that the
They're
state.
nullifying it.
So that is scary, people. Now you're talking about anarchy, right? You're talking about, we don't care if your law does not, we don't agree with it. We're just going to ignore it. This is the difference between solid Republicans and the far left Democrats. This is the start of socialism, communism, that they're trying to push.
Knows what the rule of law
That's
is.
right. Communism, you're correct. There's a reason why Cubans are trying to come here,
Right.
right? There's a reason why Venezuelans are trying to come here. People forget that. So I'm urging you all, I mean, I've said this before, you cannot give up, right?
No,
You have to
never
keep fighting.
give
You're
up,
the boots
never.
on the ground. You
Yeah.
guys are the ones that are on the floor. We're taking the arrows up at the legislature,
Right.
but we need your support because without it, we're done. This country's done.
Let me call you Leo. It's easier. Every time I say representative, with my English, Italian,
Leo's fine.
I get so
But it
difficult.
sounds so
Leo.
Forgive me. Leo, Senator Borelli already said that approximately when we should know an official answer, just to refresh our mind. He gave us the date, 30 days from when it's going to be the official date. They say, okay, something's going to get done or nothing's going to get done.
So and Sonny can correct me, but the AG now has 14 days, right?
14
Take a
days.
look at what you dropped, roughly.
He's got 30 days to do the
Remember,
investigation.
he's
30 days to do the
30
investigation, right?
days.
Your days. So at that point, one or two things are going to happen. The AG office is going to say, we're not touching it.
Yeah.
And then that's not a very smart move, I think, in my opinion, especially if you're running for Congress. I think that's
U.S. Senate.
U.S. Senate, excuse me. Because
Yeah,
Bertovich is
Senate.
running for U.S. Senate.
Mhm.
You would hope that he'd take this case on
Yeah.
and do that. So in 30 days, they'll have an answer.
Shows
They're
a
either
lot
going to
about him.
comply,
Yeah.
or they're going to say, eh. At that point is when we got to say, all right, now it's time for misdemeanors, and we got to go to the next level, whether it's whatever we need to do.
Mhm.
Instead of relying on that, within 30 days, we should have an answer on whether it's going to move forward or not.
By the end of August, we must have something going on. Yes or
Well,
no?
when did you drop it, Senator Burley?
Last
The
week.
5th? No, 4th, something like
So
that?
when-
Second,
When?
the second.
The second, yeah.
So what do we
Until
do?
September 2nd, yeah. but I don't know.
Okay,
We should know something.
all right. This is very
But
important.
what if
As
we
he
don't
said,
know anything? What
as
happens?
Leo
Senator
Biasucci
Burley.
said, we have to be doing our part. They are just people representing us, but they cannot do everything themselves. And my humble opinion, I would be happy to spend some extra dollars, especially with the gas prices right now, thanks to what happened, to drive to Phoenix. We need to show our faces. We can just send them always letters and stuff. At the point, we're at this point, the line in the sand. If truly there is no more rule of law, it's up to us. They done their part, we got to do our part.
Yeah.
Okay.
Folks,
We
yeah.
gotta get people down.
We need to
help us.
encourage the Attorney General to step up and force the counties to
Should we be
comply.
calling and writing?
Yeah, we
them
need to
in?
encourage. And then, of course, Maricopa County supervisors, they need to hear just how displeased you are.
How do you get access to see the Attorney General? Can you?
If you have questions,
Just have to
please,
see 'em.
microphone there.
I'd say burn up the phone and send the emails.
Okay.
You know, I mean, these are the kind of emails that we get, which just makes me kind of laugh because it actually emboldens me. And of course, in the subject line, because they put in the subject line that means we'll look at it and open it up. They're trying to be very coy. So thanks for your service from a service-connected disabled vet. So I'm like, okay, so I'm opening them up like I do all at 90,000 in my emails. He says, otherwise, Sonny, blank you.
Yeah.
You walk from California. Maricopa County will not be touched Bendejo. How long in the whack jack town? I mean, this guy, and of course, I will never vote Republican ever again. Why should you sacrifice your political career, your dignity, and your reputation of the Republican Party and the image of Arizona as a civilized place with supporting a partisan audit? Which is kind of funny. Yeah. Because tell us why you would support a Trump. He's a racist, a sexist, fascist, a warmonger. Oh, he's gotten us out of wars.
Yeah.
He has a foul mouth, and he hates Muslims, and he hates poor people. He's a bully. Wow. Like, wow, okay. And then, of course, I love this one. You're a bunch of poor losers. Which is like, well, prove it. You know, okay. Stop spending my Arizona tax dollars on you losers that think that this election was fraudulent. Stop the money. Stop the legislative time. Just stop.
By the
Stop
way,
your lies.
one
Do you
small
think this is
correction.
part of the problem right here?
One
Sam?
small correction,
Look what
and
they
this
put in the
idiot that wrote to Senator Borelli, public money has not been spent on this.
That's right.
It has been privately funded.
Right
So the
here,
taxpayers.
So this
Right here.
jack
what the AP put. in.
wagon doesn't even know the facts. This is the kind of crap we get every single day. If you want to encourage people, that's a prime example of what not to do.
Right.
If you ask them, look, we support the
They
Senate,
just lied.
we support the rule of
That
law,
was in our.
we support the subpoenas, and we support you, Mr. Attorney General, because we know that you are a prosecutor at heart. He is a prosecutor. You're a prosecutor at heart. You know that when you see the elements of a crime, you are going to be able to reach the conclusion that Maricopa County has been obstructing an investigation that is lawful. Please take action. That's the kind of letter that gets action. And the more of those you can write, call, emails, make it a weekly thing. You get it done by Friday, Tuesday next week, you fire it up again and write a different letter because we do pick up on key phrases that
Yeah.
repeat over and over.
Yeah. Good question.
Questions open. Mr. Gillette, introduce yourself again if you want to, and go ahead with the question.
Again, John Gillette, for Arizona 5th District Representatives. Okay, Sonny, knowing what you know, and I know you didn't tell us everything because you can't, going forward, you know the fix was in, you know this deal was on, going forward, what are you gonna do for the next election?
That's a great segue.
Great. Thank you very much. I'm glad you brought that up.
Over there, son.
You know, because when somebody hands you problems, don't come to the table with problems. Come to the table with solutions.
Right.
Okay? We've already passed legislation to fix a lot of the things for the next elections. Okay? Because we need to make sure that we try to restore some integrity and confidence in the next elections. So we did tighten things up. You can't just arbitrarily send out a mail-in ballot to somebody that didn't solicit for it. They have to ask for it. Okay? And then of course, some more signature verification structure to verify that nobody can fraudulently, sign a ballot. Also, we do know. Okay, remember the Sharpie Gate thing?
Yep.
Remember Sharpie Gate? That's a conspiracy theory. Oh, no. You guys are crazy. Well, we have correspondence, an email from one of the county election workers, works for the county, that sent out an email back in October to all my warriors out there, my staff. Make sure that you only hand out ballpoint pens of blue and black ink for early voting. But on election day, only give out Sharpies. I'm like, but remember, Sharpies, what happened? Ballots were getting kicked back, the machines wasn't reading it, and this and that. So they said, well, there's nothing there. There's no there on the Sharpie Gate. Well, guess what? This is what we found through the audit process. That, wait a minute, we had a 550% increase on adjudicated ballots. So obviously there was some type of collusion to make sure that you only handed out Sharpies on ballots. Most of the time, those are going to be the ballot on demand in Maricopa County. So that way it would bleed through. If it bleeds through, then it has to go through the adjudication process. The adjudication process, you have to manually make another ballot and do a 1-for-1 switch for switch. Okay. Well, we found that we have the spoiled ballot, but then the duplicated ballot, there's no serial number that matches to the original ballot.
Oh.
So how do we know that we didn't count those? So we gotta make sure that way we don't count these ballots twice.
Right.
So see, that's what we keep saying. This is not a recount. This is a full forensic audit to make sure that they are following the procedures and policies set forth in statute. And obviously, the findings that we're finding, they're not. So where do we go from here? We need to make sure that, okay, there's no counterfeit ballots done on fraudulent paper. There has to be a certain standard of paper, which there already is, but when they did ballot on demand, they were going to Staples and getting different pieces of paper. But we got, of course, the other thing was ballots being run through over and over and over, counted over and over, like Georgia, several times. We need to we have to kind of put some kind of counterfeit countermeasures in these things. We have to start controlling that. So with that, Mark Bishop got with David Stevens, for a county recorder from another county, and came up with a great idea, because this is what's going to restore confidence in our next election. Mark, take it from there.
All right. Does this look familiar? Okay. Well, it shouldn't look familiar to you because it's a Cochise County ballot, but
Yeah.
it kind of looks like the ballot that you
Yeah.
would have
It does.
voted on, except there's some changes. And we actually partnered with a company that is very much involved in U.S. currency anti-counterfeiting. All right. The watermark on the lower, which is this, when you put it under UV light, that's what it looks like.
Oh.
This is all you would see at the polling place, unless it goes under a UV light. And then it looks like this. That is how we stop counterfeit ballots that come into the system.
Oh, yes.
But there's more. So at the upper left-hand corner, you'll see this QR code. That is an individual number that is corresponding to this ballot. You'll notice that your name's not on here. The government can't figure out who you voted for, because when it comes out of the envelope that you would have mailed in, presumably, it goes into a feeder. Phones and computers are not permitted in the envelope opening area, so there's no way that somebody could connect your name with this ballot. And once that has gone through, we're not going to have a repeat of Georgia, where you run the same ballot through 100 times, because that QR code is burned in the system, meaning it will reject any attempt to try and put it through again.
Oh, nice.
But we're not done.
Wait, there's more.
There's more. Wait, there's more. So the printing, and I don't have my little sheet in here, but you see all these little waves? Okay, see the waves on here? Those are 500 nanometer printing, which is basically the size of your hair, smaller than your hair, one strand, that say state of Arizona. Over and over again, state of Arizona, state of Arizona.
And valid.
27 states now want to employ this technology. Including the home of this technology, Arizona. We have put money into the budget for, I believe it's what, 600 million, or 60 million ballots over the next 6 elections. We have enough money in the system to be able to implement this technology. Okay? But wait a minute, we're not done.
But that's not all.
Yeah, we're
That's
done.
not all. What's the other thing you wanted me to
Oh,
talk
no,
about?
you're good. I'm talking about the
The
microphone.
bottom right, the chip.
You knocked down the
Okay.
microphone.
So this Mylar, translucent Mylar patch, I think they call it, that's actually woven right into the paper. All right. And then there are some other fraud countermeasures on here. Some are overt, some are covert. It's just like U.S. currency. We don't want to tell everything that's out there because we don't want to telegraph to the bad guys what's really going on. But just know that this is the same technology that is protecting $100 bills. It is the same technology that is going to, I believe, revolutionize elections to the point where we now are able to take an image of this, verify that it's got that, and put it out on a public ledger so that by the time you get home from voting, you'll be able to take the number of your ballot, go onto the internet, go through a third party so that the government can't figure out who you are, and and you'll be able to find the image of the ballot that you cast. So that you know your vote was counted.
All right, thank you.
Now,
Next question.
now, hang on.
Hang on? Okay.
Wait a minute.
There's more.
There's closing on this thing, you know, just like an infomercial.
Wait a second.
Right.
Cost.
Okay, bring it home.
Okay, cost. We're
Bring it
taxpayers.
home,
Bring it home, Sonny.
Cost.
All right, go
We're
ahead.
taxpayers. We're taxpayers, right? We want to make sure that your taxpayer dollars are going right? How much, what's it worth it to you to make sure that your ballot can't be counterfeited? What's it worth?
Name a number.
If you had to reach in your pocket, go to the polls and say, I want a ballot on demand, I want to use that one, what would you pay?
How much?
$100.
Right now, I would pay $0 for that. I believe we should go back to 1 day of voting, paper ballots, small precincts, hand counted by
Oh, I
people,
do
observers
too.
on both
I do
sides, all in, by midnight, everybody knows who won. And I was in printing, paper falls off the back of a truck and gets sold. Number one. Number two, that login to a site to see my ballot, sure, I can log in and see it. That doesn't mean that was what was actually counted. I can see my ballot, but what was counted in the total count, how do I know how everybody else voted? So what the actual results are, and that can be counterfeited and fraud.
Yeah.
You need to get tech out of it. We need to go back to
All right.
the old-fashioned way.
Let's
Paper
work.
ballot.
We'll have to respectfully disagree.
We'll have Mark talk about that.
Just
machine,
have-
though.
Let's say, go ahead. We go on
Just have to
here.
respectfully
No, she's got some valid points there.
Good point, good
Some valid
point.
points there. However, because that's our next steps on this stuff.
Right.
Because I want Dominion machines completely kicked to the curb, to the scrap heap. Now, once going back to the cost, because it's gonna cost money, taxpayer dollars. Okay, how much is a postage stamp? 55 cents?
Yeah.
Less than the price of a postage stamp to have this done. Okay, we're talking 25 cents to make sure your ballot cannot be reproduced on a copy machine. And somebody put in some shenanigans, running it through over and over and over. You put this under a UV light, you know it's a legitimate ballot. Now, getting to the counting part, Mark, you're the expert on this one.
One second, Sheriff Mack, you want to say something before I forget? If you want to interact, there is a line. People have been waiting in line. I'm not trying to shut you down, guys. Just please follow the line. Otherwise, people waiting for you 10 minutes. It's not gonna work. We don't have all day, okay? So if you want to interact, answer, wait for your time online, then we go from there. Go ahead, Mark, and then Sheriff
Yeah,
Mack.
now that the question's been planted in people's minds, I want to address what this lady has said. We actually are able to manage the number of sheets of paper down to the inventory level.
Yeah.
Because this company that has done this for us, they're the same company that curates US currency. They count it, they print it, they pull bad currency out. They are able to take bills that are no longer serviceable out. So, and a lot of this technology is not open sourced. I can't go into all the details about it. If you want to talk about it after this event, because I don't want this to consume all the time, we are 100% certain that this cannot be counterfeited.
Yeah.
So I'll be happy to talk to anybody after we're done.
And I agree, we should be going to a hand count ballot
Absolutely.
at the precinct level.
Yep.
And then everybody tallies up with all the witnesses on how they counted it, and then that goes sent to the central point. Convenient counting machines, all that garbage crap, you know, technology needs to go. We need to go back to old school. Paper ballot, in person,
Next guy.
you know, yeah.
Technology can be cheated one way or another.
I'm happy to talk to you about it
All right,
later.
question next, please.
Talk in front of everybody. We should all
I
know.
understand. Just
Well, but there's other people
we have a
that
line
want to ask
in front,
questions.
please. Sheriff Mack, go ahead.
Paper ballots have been from the get-go.
Yeah.
I mean, we got LBJ as president because he cheated and stuffed ballots as a senator in Texas. And so that doesn't solve all.
Yeah.
And I have been saying the exact same thing until I saw this. And this looks like my ballot states me and only me, and how they could duplicate it, especially with other technologies behind it. I'm so anti-Texas, but there's been stuffing ballots with the paper ballot since the get-go, and
But whoever counts the ballots
Still good.
is actually in charge of the election.
That's
And
right.
you can go online and look at your ballot, that doesn't.
I
mean
didn't
that
get it.
was
and still be
counted.
stuffing.
Well, that's for the after action.
I totally agreed with you until I saw that thing. That thing makes me a little bit more comfortable.
Thank you, Sheriff Mack. Next, please, introduce yourself. Question.
Sean Aaron, just a quick question for you guys. You kind of run up against the hard wall on these, on the subpoena for the routers. In a couple of days, by the 12th Thursday, all of Mike Lindell's information, which includes MAC addresses and IP addresses and the county intrusion levels for every machine, is gonna be in the wind. Are you gonna use any of that data instead of taking through the front door trying to get the routers, or you're gonna go around the backside with that new data, which is very credible, and I think you all know that. Are you gonna go and revisit this?
You're going, right?
Thank you.
Well, actually,
It's a great question.
that's a good question. Mark, go ahead.
That's a great question. We are going into that cybersecurity symposium as skeptics. There's a report that, and this tells you the extent to which the deep state will try to torpedo your election.
Right.
Okay? There is a query going on right now about the MAC IDs and the IP addresses and the fact that they do not show up on a known registry. Okay, I don't know, just a minute. I don't know if it's because of the information that has been put out to the public, and that's a firewall against information that they really have, or if this Dennis Montgomery guy truly is a deep state actor who has been sent in by Mary Fanning and some of these other people who suddenly appear out of nowhere with no credentials, but have a linkage to the CIA. We're very concerned about that. But we are going as skeptics because even in the audit that we've done here locally, the whole point is we're questioning evidence. We're not just accepting it.
Right.
We're questioning it.
Right.
We want to know where did it come from, what's chain of custody, all of those things.
A quick follow-up though,
Yes, sir.
if instead of subpoenaing the actual router, that you subpoena the MAC and IP addresses, would that be an easier thing to get from them rather than the actual?
I don't think we know the answer to that question
Yeah,
yet.
it's,
It should be revealed.
To go and try to get that information.
Yeah. Well, that's why we're going.
Well-
We want to see what they are able to reveal.
All right.
well, the thing is, if you got the IP, if you got the routers and you have the IP address on it, it actually proves that there was internet traffic on election night from those routers. And that's,
Right.
and if it's connected to those machines, obviously there's your smoking gun that it was connected to the internet. Now, we're going to that symposium in South Dakota, but, you know, I'm always a skeptic too. You know, I mean, if you're at the poker table more than 15 minutes, you can't figure out who the mark is, you're it. So, you know, you got to go there with an open mind, but with reservation. And I want to see what they got. And if it matches what we have, the numbers match, then we'll go from there.
And really quickly, just to touch on that, we have to all remember on November 30th, you had Colonel Waldron, right? A colonel that was speaking at that hearing that we were at. This is a guy under oath who said, we watched. They have the white hat hackers, which are the good guys in the government. They watched as these systems were being hacked by 30, 40 different countries, people coming in. And so he was saying, these things are hacked, but it's important that we do our due diligence. It's important that we do these things like this happening in South Dakota with Mike Lindell. And we have to look at the data. We have to prove it, because if you don't prove it, then obviously it's just a conspiracy theory. We need to make sure we do what we need to do the due diligence on our end. But it's there. It happens.
Now, did anybody hear from the last update we got? You know, we got an update from our audit team presented to the Senate President and Chairman of the Judiciary Committee, Warren Peterson. Did you all hear the results out of that in the media? Okay. Did you hear about the 37,000 queries on the machines
In one day.
in one day? Did you hear about that? Well, when you do a query on that, what you're doing is you're pushing information off those machines. Now, they did that before we even got custody
Oh, I
of
know
these
what you're
machines.
talking about.
See, they're doing a query because it replaces a
Right.
new
First in,
question
first out.
and burns off the rest. That should have never happened. That's a federal law. That's violation of federal law. Once again, we're trying to gather stuff on this to figure out who won on this thing, or if there's actual crimes that we need to transfer over and hand to the Attorney General for them to handle. We're not just going to say, here you go. We want to expose it and then turn it over. That way nobody can shove it underneath the carpet. Because
Absolutely.
let me tell you, we're not going to roll over on this. But, anyway.
Next question, please, close to the microphone. Thank you.
Yeah, my name's Jay Scott. My question is, you know, kind of a different subject here, but you mentioned that some of these votes from these rhinos, you know, like Boyer, and I believe there's a couple others that have kind of made it so the legislature couldn't really proceed in a way it wanted to. And just this past week, a colleague of yours was arrested from the other side of the aisle.
Yesterday.
I believe his name's Tony Navarrete.
Navarrete.
Navarrete, yeah. Does his arrest somehow tip the balance of power?
No.
No.
There's 14 Democrats, 16 Republicans. We need 16 Republicans. We need 16 votes to pass anything. Every Dem voted no on all the election integrity bills. Not only that, but even the ballot that has countermeasures on it, every Democrat voted no on it. And we put that in the budget, and they tried to strip that language out of the budget. So the Democrats are going to be a no matter what. You can't count
So
on.
we're still one away.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
still one away.
And they'll replace them with somebody else.
Another radical.
Another
Will be
radical.
just as
sure.
bad.
But I mean, to touch on that really quickly, because I mean, that's something, my bill, no touching.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't.
I had my bill HB 2889, which was a child sexual molestation bill, sex trafficking bill, which is funny. He signed that bill, or he voted yes for that bill. He voted yes.
Oh, he did?
On putting him in prison for 10 years mandatory sentencing. That's what my bill did. If you got caught with child molestation, that's what you did. But yeah, right. I mean, correct. But the reason I bring that up is I want to explain to you how it works down there. A reporter from the Arizona Republic came out publicly before that story broke. It was about 10 p.m. two nights ago. Yeah. She tweets. This is a reporter in Arizona. Says, "It's so difficult as a journalist to get sleep at night when I know the report I'm about to make is going to ruin someone's career." She was talking about Senator Neverett. So pay attention to this. You have a reporter who's more worried about the senator who ruined children's lives than the child itself. Right? This is how disgusting it is. This is how insane that this is what we deal with down there. From the left and a few rhinos in the middle. That's why I come back to, we have to vet our candidates. We have to ask them the hard questions. We have to do it. And we got to avoid these people getting into office, because these are the ones that are obstructing, that are killing bills that should be passed, conservative bills.
Right.
But unfortunately, like I said, they're going to replace them with somebody probably equally along that line. So unfortunately, we're still going to. What we need to do, though, is in the next election, this midterm, we need to get a bigger majority in the House and Senate. We have to do that and win back the state. Win it back.
Next.
And we're only a majority of one in both chambers.
Yeah.
Right.
You got my head spinning with all the technology that you have nowadays and everything. I'm just an old man. And I believe I should vote your way.
Yep.
That's my ballot.
Mhm.
Can you tell us, or tell me, everybody, what's going to be at the next election? What's the program? What's going to happen in the next election? Can you know step by step what they're going to do? Are they going to get rid of the machines? Which I think that would be the best thing to do. Not have voting machines at all.
So that's,
And then what about the post office? The post office is going to get involved in all this too? I'd like to know where my vote is. Maricopa County, they don't have any problem.
Right.
Because they got a backup, a protection backup for vote cheating.
right.
Right.
So you've got a number of things there that I'd like to try to unpack really quickly. First of all, one of the best things you can do for election integrity, stop taking a mail-in ballot. Go to the polls and vote in person. That's huge. There's a lot of people who don't, okay? Point number two, we were going to put a statement out yesterday, but we had some members who wanted to kind of polish the wording. We are calling for the prohibition of electronic tabulation in all future elections as the primary source of county votes. I don't particularly care if they use it to go back and double check the manual tabulation, but I think that we've got to have, and right now, people are hypersensitive. It used to be that we could not, I'm not kidding you, we could not get enough Republicans to come out and partner with the Democrat to count ballots. Couldn't do it. You could not, particularly in Maricopa County, you could not get enough, because you're supposed to have a two-person pair counting ballots, okay? Talking about hand counting.
Yeah.
We could not get a match between a Republican and a Democrat to count every ballot. I think that landscape has changed significantly. Number three, one of the things that I wasn't able to get to on this ballot thing, we need to have a working group of people who have particular skills.
Yes.
I invite you to be part of that. Steve Gaynor, in the printing industry, came up with a brilliant idea that I'm not going to bore you with right now because it takes an explanation. But bringing people This is your election.
100%.
Right.
This election does not belong to the government. It does not belong to the county supervisors or the elections director. It belongs to the people. So if you're going to have, and I think even the Supreme Court called the people the ultimate legislature.
Yeah.
If you're going to have legislative oversight, because we are paralyzed by a bunch of rhinos and Democrats who always seem to get a pass. I don't really understand that one.
Yeah.
If we only have 29 people, we have 2 rhinos that won't do anything, we're stuck.
Yeah.
Right.
But if we can have you on board to act as the super legislature, to help us go through new legislation, rip things out of legislation that need to go, like, for example, the governor's ability to mandate vaccines. Really? That was put into law in 2001. That's got to come to an end. And that means all of you involved in working groups. So there will be a working group on this ballot. But to your point, we need to move away from electronic tabulation. We're going to call on the rest of the body in the House and the Senate, end it. Because the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors cannot prove that somebody else was managing their election. That is enough to end it right there. Hard stop.
And yet, and really quickly, so before you do that, yet the Maricopa County Supervisors, they approved how many million to buy new Dominion machines?
3.5.
3.5 million. So through this whole controversy, they go and buy 3.5 million of new Dominion machines. I mean, what a joke. Absolute joke. Tax dollars.
And this, we don't really have this problem here in Mahogany County. But you know what? People, all of us, need to get involved
That's right.
at the polling centers. Need to get involved when you're at the county level when they're counting the votes. We need to have more observers. We need to get involved because you just literally allowing somebody else to do that, you're surrendering your own authority to somebody else without any oversight.
Yeah.
And me, I'm sorry, but I'm not even apologetic to this. I'm going to die on this hill. If it's the last thing I ever get done in this country and in my life in public office, is this, that I will not surrender this country and allow it to go down in flames without firing a shot? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Bravo. And we always say, it's the soap box, and then it's the ballot box, and then it goes to the ammo box. Look, friends, the ammo box, blood's a big expense. And I don't want to ever see this country go in that direction ever again. Okay. But if we don't start getting off our butts and start getting involved, you're literally surrendering it out of being complicit and complacent. And we can't be complacent anymore.
Next person.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Dave.
Thank you.
Dave
Great
from Golden
question.
Valley. Before I forget, I want to remind you what we do here. Seriously, this is a religious temple, and we believe in the Constitution. That's my official book. You can keep your religion wherever you're from. We don't ask you. I have just an exception, but I don't need to tell you. Your religion must respect my belief. That's pretty much where I'm coming from. Regardless, we don't live just by Holy Spirit. That may help, but we also believe of support. So if you want to donate at the door, it's always welcome. You can always join us. We do public event, and we are not partisan. I'm independent. All I want to support the United States Constitution, and I took a note, even as a civilian, when I became a naturalized citizen exactly 20 years ago or so about. So that's where I'm standing. So you're more than welcome to join us when you want at the end of this meeting. And if you have any things, like you're running for any office, and you believe in freedom and the Constitution, we want to share this platform with you. This is the place where we all invite you, okay? Next, please.
Thank you. My name is Deborah Adler. Gentlemen, I have 2 things. First of all, I deeply appreciate everything that you're doing to help bring integrity to this election. Before you leave, we need some specific call to action, please.
Yes.
Secondly, is there anything, and this may feel a little bit off topic, so forgive me, but what is any influence might you have with your counterparts in Washington to initiate articles of impeachment because the men need to come out of office?
I agree. With all the lawlessness that Biden's been perpetrating in camel hair, or whatever her name is.
Camel
And you're right. Why aren't they bringing up the I word? Now, granted, you impeach Biden and you got camel hair. But but the bottom line is, the Democrats are bringing that up when there was nothing, and they invented stuff. We need to start taking it right to their front door.
Thank
We got to start playing the same game that they keep playing. We got to bring it to them. We've read their playbook. We know Cloward and Piven. We know what Saul Alinsky's rules parameters.
Right.
They hate it when you throw it back in their face.
Right.
Oh, you guys are a bunch of racists. You hate people of color. And I kind of go, well, isn't orange color? But a call to action, get on the phone, email, write a letter to the Attorney General Brnovich, thanking him for supporting my request for a 1487 investigation to force the county to comply with the subpoenas. Okay, that's what we want. We want them to comply. Okay, and then of course the supervisors, just tell them that they're a bunch of dirtbags. Anyway.
Yeah, I will.
Right, so I just wanted to know when.
Microphone, please.
Can
Thank
you
you.
hear me?
Yeah.
I
Yes.
wanted to know.
Don't
when
touch.
arrests-
You're good.
There you go.
Just like that. That's good.
I'm
Thank
like,
you.
I just wanted to know when arrests are gonna be made, not just here in Arizona, but throughout the entire country, kind of.
We need a Justice Department for that.
However, if we are able to prove the fraud here in Arizona, are real arrests gonna be made? We've got Katie Hobbs, we've got Ducey. We need to have examples made of people who are traitors and all of this. And if not, this is going to continue. These crimes against humanity and being a traitor to your country serves a life.
All right.
You need death penalty for that and to stick with that.
Well, we have to follow the law.
So I wanna know what we're gonna do.
Right, we have to follow the law. It's the rule of law. You have evidence that can actually be referred to the Attorney General for criminal prosecution. And then there goes, look, we're not a mob, but we have to follow the law. And if there's, like I said, there's evidence for criminal prosecution that can turn to the Attorney General, and they have to do that, then that's the thing. We have to hold that judiciary accountable, because that's what's supposed to be doing.
And I just want to touch on,
Yeah.
I think this is where the frustration comes,
Love to
even
arrest
with
all.
me as a legislator, I know you as citizens. There's been so many things, right? So many crimes that have been committed by the elite, by these top,
Right.
whether it's a politician or whatever, and nothing ever gets done. Ever. It's frustrating, right? The fact that the Senator Tony Navarrete just got arrested for molestation yesterday, shocked.
That's
Honestly, I cannot believe that even happened. Because usually that just gets swept under the rug, right? Look at the Clintons and the Epstein situation, swept under the rug. Even with the subpoena thing, you ignore a subpoena from the court, what's going to happen?
You're gonna go.
You're going to get arrested. So the
The
fact that
The
they,
sheriff will come and see
the
you.
sheriff, yeah, that's right. So I think we're at a point where it's like enough's enough. We sit here and we watch the same story over and over. And this is why it's so important that we actually took this next
One
step.
second, Ollie. We have police outside. What's going on? Anybody got shot?
What?
What happened? I see the police
Yeah.
outside.
Very, very nice.
What do you want?
Whoever parked right next to the stop sign.
Oh my God, who parked next to the stop sign?
And then the car behind them.
Oh my God,
He didn't
guys.
give it- He didn't give a ticket.
Does that mean?
Yeah, that'd be pretty sweet.
And I'm behind.
Yeah.
All right, please put the boss on the show. Two cars ready to be, ticketed.
We're out of session. There's no meeting. But just to make your point, to follow back on that, I totally 100% agree with you. And this is why it's so important what Sonny did when he went to the AG's office, because nobody even thought of that route. But people need to be held responsible for his actions. If this report comes out and we find the proof, people need to go to jail.
Right.
We're not a banana republic, right? We vote for a reason. Our vote counts. This is why people come to this country. If you go to Afghanistan, you're standing in line for hours, right? They're taking a thumbprint with ink. They're taking a retinal scan, right, to vote. So the fact that nothing ever happens needs to stop. And this is why I'm confident that, and I'm proud what Sonny did by going to the AG's office and saying enough's enough. So,
All right, thank you. Next.
So, my name is Nikki Suea, and my question is,
when Biden says something like, this is against the law, but I'm gonna do it anyway, how can we assist you guys in holding them accountable? Because like you said, something needs to happen.
So when they ask you or demand of you something that the President of the United States has said, this is illegal, but I'm doing it anyhow, you need to invoke the same action. The President of the United States said this is illegal. Stop. I'm not going to do it anyhow. I'm going to abide by the law. You cannot force me to take an emergency use authorization vaccine. You cannot force me to take that. Whether you're an employer employed by the state or the public sector. If you want the link to the law or to the legal memo on that, please reach out to me. I'm happy to send it to you. All you have to do is lay that on your employer's desk if that's the thing you're talking about. And your employer probably is going to say, okay, we're going to back off on this one.
I mean, this is what we do to the legislature, right? When a year ago, when Biden was running, he was talking about, I'm coming after your AR-15s. I'm coming after your high-capacity magazines. So that's why I passed the Second Amendment sanctuary state law, because I knew that they were going to go against the law. He was going to break the law. He didn't care. So it's also our job to protect you guys, right? This is why we banned vaccines, banned critical race theory, banned masks for K through 12 schools. We did that at the state. We already did it this year.
Change the tax.
We changed the tax. Right. All these things we do at the state level, especially us three right here. I mean, we're fighting to defend the Constitution. So you're lucky that you have people here that represent you. Not all the representatives do that. A lot of them don't even care.
No.
But it's like I said, it's scary to hear them say this is against the law, but I'm going to do it anyway. You need to contact your legislators. Contact the governor. Say, hey, are you going to protect us? We put you in office for a reason, right? And let them know. What are you going to do? Because 10th Amendment is real. The states created the federal government, not the other way around. Not the other way around. Right.
And the thing is, we've heard the big scare. They're going to knock on your door. They're going to ask you about your medical history if you got the vaccination and everything else, right? Well, this is what I've been telling everybody to do. One, why open the door anyway? You open up the door and they go, well, we want to know about if you take a vaccine, whatever. Just say, I know my rights under the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment. I don't have to answer any of your questions. Have a nice day. And shut the door.
Right.
Simple as that. Simple as that.
Simple.
If you have a constitutional right, none of your business, and just shut the door.
Who here really quickly? Who
And
here
if
was
they
at
persist, then you arrest them for trespassing.
yeah. Who here was at the supervisor meeting last week? Was it last week?
Monday.
This Monday. So you guys heard this, right? So this is something that's concerning, and you need to reach out to your supervisors and tell them it's not okay. But we had the health director come and speak, and they wanted $700,000 to hire 5 people to go around the county to promote the vaccine.
To reach out
To reach out.
Yes.
And so thankfully we had our patriot Hildy Angus, who I love. We had Travis. Ron Gould. They all said, wait a minute. What are you guys doing? Who are these 5 people for? Well, no. We're not going to go door to door.
Yeah, right.
There's no intent for that. But we just want to go to the community and educate people on COVID and vaccines.
And because they don't get the newspaper.
Yeah,
they don't get
that was the
news,
excuse.
They don't watch the news and this and that. So if they're not getting, bottom line is you're going to go knock on their door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's what they try to do. They try to infiltrate. You guys you're all in this room. You love this country. You love our freedoms. You need to make sure you're paying attention. You need to reach out and say, don't you even think about hiring those people to do that. You and all in here know they're going to go door to door. I mean, that's the plan. This money's coming from the CDC. Are you kidding me? I don't want to touch that money at all. They should just deny that completely. They should have said no. We want nothing to do with your money.
So did they table that?
They tabled it.
Yeah,
They tabled it. So pay attention. It'll be back next
And
meeting.
here's the thing we're dealing with the audit. Part of the audit is we want to be able to do canvassing. We're going to knock on the door and say, hey,
Yeah.
there's 25 people registered to vote at this address. There are 2 people that live there. We want to verify, hey, do you know these 23 people? Do you know these people? And if they say, well, no, they're saying that's voter intimidation by knocking on somebody's door. It's called canvassing, and it's after the election. So you're not intimidating a voter after an election. So voter intimidation is kind of like prior to an election. So wait a minute. So you mean to tell me if I'm doing a poll for the next election, Who are you gonna vote for second state? Are you gonna vote for Mark Fitcham or, whoever they're, whatever? That's a poll, right? How's that? That's not voter intimidation, but knocking on your door to find out if you've been vaccinated, that's okay. But the Department of Justice says that they want to shut down the audit because and charge us with the KKK Act and all kinds of other goofy stuff.
They're reaching.
Yeah, reaching. It's reaching.
Speaking of that, really quickly, I have the shirts in the back, $5. I mean, warrants. Speaking of COVID,
All right.
Social
right?
distance.
$5. This is my campaign.
After the meeting.
A beautiful wife.
Well, you have the table there,
Yeah,
right?
table there.
At the entrance, the table. Who is next person, so we can keep going?
I also was a staunch reporter for Trump, a supporter right from the beginning when we got, after Biden got in, I got harassed by Pelosi herself by emails for 3 months. Yes. How did they get my email to begin with? Number two, we have to support our sheriffs. I don't have a sheriff to support.
No.
Red Zone is not my sheriff, just like Biden is not my president.
Mm-hmm.
This audit, is this going to include sheriff's positions and our federal state senator to be pulled out if this was fraud all the way down?
Well, the scope of the audit to what, the scope of practice is looking at obviously the presidential ticket and the Senate ticket. It's going to kind of give it some perspective. But when we counted the ballots and counted the bubbles, we also scanned every ballot. Because remember, if it was a mail-in ballot, it better be folded. And if it's a legitimate ballot, it better be hand-filled in. If it's not hand-filled in, it meant it was done mechanically through a Xerox machine.
Right.
Which is why we got to protect paper. Okay. We're talking terabytes, whatever the heck that stuff is, but technically, when this audit is done, that's all public record. Which means everybody will be able to see that entire down ticket. The media and the left are saying, well, you're just violating somebody's personal, exposing somebody's the way they voted. Once you separate the ballot from the envelope, nobody knows. You can't marry them back up. So hopefully we're going to be able to see that whole down ticket if you want to be able to have a counting party over a weekend. But this is why they're scared to death. Are they afraid of what we may find, or are they afraid of what they know we may find? And I think it's the latter. But the only thing on our jurisdiction, what we have authority over is only really realistically the presidential election. Everything else would have to be, because we control the electors.
Yeah.
The entire down ticket, that's going to have to be challengeable for that candidate to go to court on.
Yeah.
So it would be interesting to see if Penzone won legitimately.
So there's another component to this, and we really need to. This is why we've got to go back to hand counting.
Yeah.
All right. You've got ballots. Why don't you go ahead and take this?
Well, the adjudicated what Sonny talked about before. So you have a ballot that's spoiled, something's wrong with it, right? So they have to replace it with a real one.
Ink in the wrong spot.
Ink in the wrong spot. There's all these things. So they did a test, a mini audit, I suppose, and they tested 100, and there's a 3% error rate.
Right.
Right, 3 ballots. 2 of them were Trump. They were marked for Trump, but they went to Biden.
Right.
And one was
Unreadable.
It was a
unreadable or something.
It was a skip.
A skip. Right? So then they said, oh, well, that's a problem. So let's bump it to 2,500. They stopped counting halfway through. They didn't even finish it. That's how bad it was.
So
that's how bad it was.
What this is talking about, there's another component to this, and that is the envelopes. The signatures are supposed to be 20 points of identification. Midway through the counting, the opening of ballots and all the envelopes, they drop that down to 10 points of identification. Then with about 20% of them left to count, it went to 0. In other words, they were letting stuff through at just a rapid pace just to get them counted.
Oh, I
So
know.
that goes back to the question. Do we care about speed, Or do we care about accuracy?
Right, that's
Frankly, I don't care if it takes us 3 or 4 days to count 2.1 million ballots. I want to know about accuracy.
That's right.
Yes.
Who is it that we're doing the speed for? You know?
Cheaters.
The media.
I mean, yeah.
Why do we care about them when we should be focused on accuracy?
That's right.
That's why we need to go to Hancock.
All right.
And by the way, that signature, that requirement was kept being reduced and reduced. This was by testimony from witnesses that were there.
Thank you.
So it's not just our speculation. This is stuff that people swore to. They signed an affidavit under penalty of perjury, which is a federal crime, 5 years. They have nothing to gain by going out on the limb and doing that. They literally have a lot to lose because they can be doxxed and harassed by the left and the
Yes, they
mainstream
can.
media. So
That's right.
Before we continue with questions, we have kind of, a schedule. We can stay here all night. And Sheriff Mack, you need to drive back, by the way, to, where you kind of Phoenix, right? Perfect. So please, I would like to do this. The questions you have right now, I would like to introduce again, even technically, you can talk from there, Sheriff Mack. We don't need to come here. You got the microphone there. Just get close to the microphone. And I would like to give him the floor. There is so much more, many more details, I'm sure, about this audit, but we got a good bulk. I would invite, of course, to follow up. Let's be in touch. They're always there answering to us. They've been so grateful, of course, to come here, but you got the emails. We're gonna keep updates, okay?
Yeah.
And we'd like to give it more floor maybe in the next month
Yeah.
when we have the official ending. I would like
We'll
to
come
do a
back.
replay and cover
back.
what we have to do,
Sure.
because at
Yeah.
that point, instead of just listening, I think it's gonna be the time we gotta do something.
That's right.
And if the law and the people in the law, they don't do their part, starting from the AG, I think we still have the line in the sand. It's up to us to keep it. And I'm not talking about crazy stuff. I'm talking about you start to show our faces. It's millions of us. It's few, dozens of these rats hiding in the holes of some rooms that we pay for anyway. So we need to show that we're alive and well fed, right, Sonia? Good.
Exactly.
All right, please go ahead.
I wanted to say one thing here. I live in Lake Havasu. My name is Steve Tuminello, and I feel like I'm at a Sons of Italy meeting here with us. Susanna and Leo Biasucci here. But
I'm just.
And the mud.
I'm a mud.
And the mud.
I'm Scott Zachary. Sorry.
last night I woke up in the middle of the night. I can't believe this. Did you know that Arizona is called the Italy of America?
No.
Really?
I didn't know that. It popped up on my phone at 3 o'clock in the morning. It said, the Italy of America nickname compares the beautiful and scenic mountain regions of the state of Arizona to the mountains of Italy. Is that why we're all here?
I didn't.
Yeah.
I'm calling shenanigans. No.
Go ahead.
I am a citizen member of the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association. I've known Sheriff Mack and his wife Dawn for 17 years. Met them when Sheriff Mack was running for governor of Utah. I supported him. I was a businessman in southern Utah, and I really believed in Sheriff Mack because I'd heard a lot about him back in when we were doing the movie Freedom to Fascism, America for Freedom to Fascism, which is kind of rolling out to be reality right now. I was involved with a group that filed suit for the first time in the history of the United States under the First Amendment petition to redress grievances. Sheriff Mack was around that whole group of.
Go with the question, please. Question.
Yeah, so what we wanted to do is let you know that you can be a citizen member like I am. I approached Sheriff Mack about 4 years ago and I said, I think the sheriffs are our last and best hope. I want to work with you and see what we can do to really elevate our organization. And we've been very successful over the past 4 years. Sheriff Mack is internationally recognized now. We have a lot of great things happening. So if any of you want to join and support our group, we'd really appreciate it. And then I want to talk after a little bit about our Great American Patriots. We have an event where Leo's going to be speaking next Wednesday and Sonny will be speaking on the 21st. I'd like to tell them a little bit more about that. That's our flyer. So Sheriff Mack is going to tell us a little bit
Let me introduce.
about the Second
Perfect. Senator Borelli and Rep. Biasucci, are you leaving too, Mark?
Yeah, Mark's.
Oh, ready? Okay. They are leaving. If you want to give a nice applause for coming. Thank you. Anybody take the photo? Maybe it can be the last photo. Maybe we all can be. I don't know. Lost in the day.
Yeah, Sheriff. Sure.
They're taking a picture for a second, but I've got to tell them something before they leave.
Yes.
Done.
The legal questions you're asking, why are we arresting the president?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and- Well, first of all, you can't impeach Biden and you can't arrest Biden because he's not mentally competent to stand trial.
Well played.
If this is the last photo, that's a great time. You would wait. Please don't leave. Cheryl Mack is gonna talk, okay? He drove all the way from Phoenix,
Yeah,
Gilbert.
please listen to
Stay
him.
around, please, okay? Thank you.
And listen, and the reason why there was over 30,000 guardsmen around the state capitol, the reason why they have that for the inaugural, is that's the only way they're gonna have 30,000 people show up for Biden's inaugural.
It's delayed. Yeah.
I want to give this to Leo.
Yes, go give it to Leo.
I want to honor you with this.
Cheryl Mack, please, Cheryl Mack. So let's, 1 minute that they're leaving. 1 second. Okay, let's. Matt, come here, please. Yeah, come here. We got room now. All right, we continue in 60 seconds. 60 seconds break. We're changing tables. All right, Sonny's there.
Sonny,
All right,
we have want to present Senator Borelli with our 2021 Constitutional Compliance Act of Arizona that we're presenting, and we're hoping that Senator Borelli and State Representative Leo Biasucci are going to help us make this, get this passed through the legislature.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So you have those, and we have Sheriff Mack as well.
Let's get the Constitution in the media.
So thank you guys.
Thank you.
We'll see you on Wednesday.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Leo will be at the library at Lake Havasu Wednesday at noon for the Havasu Patriots.
all right.
Thank you, Luca.
Thank you, guys. We are starting back. All right, everybody, please can sit down, lock the door after they leave.
Senator Borelli, may we feed you a word, please?
With the cup and, or what?
Your word, yeah.
Yes.
I don't want to interrupt you. It's fine, but. So can we talk?
You can talk whatever you want. It's up to you.
Can I make a quick announcement before everybody leaves?
Hopefully nobody leaves. Are you leaving? Who's leaving here? Nobody's leaving, right? Just Sonny and Leo.
Sheriff Mack.
Okay, come on, Sheriff Mack is here. Please don't leave. All right, we are back.
Are we doing t-shirts right now?
Okay, guys, please. If everybody can get a little bit of it. If you want to talk, please, you can talk outside. If you're leaving. We need silence, please.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, back on. Sit down, please, Mac. Thank you. Sheriff Mack, you got the floor.
Thank you, everybody. Usually I'm standing to talk, so this is kind of different. I guess this makes it kind of like a fireside chat.
Yeah.
So, even though I don't like the guy that invented that. That was FDR, by the way.
Especially since it's all mine.
Oh, yeah. So, just real quickly, I want to give you a review. I just got back off a tour, the Arise America tour, or no, sorry, Arise USA. They even did a song, the Rise USA. It was a fantastic song. So I lived on a bus for 2.5 months.
Yeah.
And the funny thing about that is we stopped every night at a hotel, so it got pretty expensive. And anyway, they ran money, and the tour stopped a little bit early. So anyway, so the biggest push on the tour was the training that I've already been doing for the last 10 years. And the training has really picked up. I can't tell you, I had to quit my job as a so I could do this full time because the demand was just so great. I couldn't keep it going. So But yeah, I needed that job. And so now I'm making a living doing this, selling books, and I charged to go speak, but I didn't charge to come here because I really wanted to come here and just talk to you a minute and give you a brief update that there's more solutions than your state legislature. And it's county by county. County by county, make America back. It's really grassroots oriented. And we've had about 5 different counties now declare themselves to be constitutional counties.
Right.
And some already have pragmatically done that. They've just done it. They're just doing it. No resolution, no ordinance, no passing a new ordinance or anything. They're just keeping their oath. And what I've maintained since I filed the lawsuit in 1994 against the Clintons is that the solution is if we just keep our oath. That's all we have to do to take back America. Every public official in Mojave County or in Kingman do the simple thing of keeping your word when you raised your right arm and swore in God's name to uphold and defend the Constitution. You know, there's public officials that say they don't have to do it.
Right, yeah.
They actually say they don't have to do it. But and then you got to wonder then why are you required by law to swear the oath?
Yeah.
Then why did you swear the oath and why did you run for office? If the very day before you take office, you lied to everybody. You committed another crime, perjury, and I'd like to see local sheriffs investigate that. One of our constitutional sheriffs right now in Michigan is doing an audit and an investigation on the fraudulent election in his county, in Berry County, Michigan. And another sheriff has already put everybody on notice in his entire county in Klickitat, Washington, Sheriff Songer, that he will enforce very strictly the Bill of Rights. And other public officials, the superintendent of public schools called him and said, "Oh no, are you coming to arrest me and put me in handcuffs? I just want to know, call me first so I can be ready."
Yeah.
Why don't you just keep your word and follow the Bill of Rights? You won't have to worry about it, you know? And so the sheriff just told him that. You don't have to worry about it. Why would there be any problem with anybody in America that we are enforcing the Bill of Rights strictly in every county and city in this country? But they're so afraid of that. And because I just did an interview recently where they did a really hatchet job on me, and that was fine, but they did quote that part. It says, if we're doing that, who does it hurt? And then I answered the question because she certainly wasn't going to. I said, the only person that hurts in America is a tyrant. Otherwise, it protects the liberty of all people, all of us. And back when I first filed the lawsuit, it was because of the Second Amendment. To protect the Second Amendment, I sued on the 10th.
Right.
And the first book I wrote, From My Cold Dead Fingers, Why America Needs Guns. If you want to see the hand model on that book, see the hand model? Nice new nails and everything.
Yeah.
She's back there helping me sell the books after I speak. That's her, yeah. The lovely doll. Yeah. And so, and every one of you, I really appreciate what Mark Fincham said. This case is the most powerful 10th Amendment case in the history of America. Have you read it?
Yes.
It will take you hours if you go read the whole thing.
Oh,
I spent hours and hours putting down all the highlights in this little book, so you don't have to spend so much time. If you want to read the whole thing, look it up on the internet.
No.
Cornell University did the best review.
Yeah, Cornell
University did the best review of it. Or you can read this little 16-page pocket review of the highlights of the case. And you'll read this and you'll go, the Supreme Court really didn't say that to stop Obamacare because it was an unfunded mandate on the states.
Yeah.
And even if it's not unfunded, they still can't tell us what to do. The anti-commandeering thing means federal government cannot tell a single official in your cities, states, or cities, counties, or states to do anything. They can't pass a law
telling us to do something.
That's why they have the agencies.
It is so amazing. This is absolutely miraculous.
So how does the DOJ have the ability to go in and crack down on the Phoenix Police Department?
They self-appointed themselves that.
Right.
The FBI says they investigate local corruption.
That's-
Well, who investigates them?
Yeah.
And the FBI is so absolutely universally corrupt, it's not even funny. Sean Hannity's wrong.
Yeah,
It's
he is
not
wrong.
just the hierarchy. He says, oh, the FBI hierarchy, don't just, but the rank and file are great. The rank and file are a bunch of Nuremberg officers. And those of you who know anything about World War II and the Nuremberg trials know what I'm talking about. They will do anything they're told and then justify it saying, I was just following orders.
It's called power, baby.
Well, yeah, of course. And who needs to stop every bit of that?
We do.
We do, and with your sheriff,
Yes.
man, is that powerful. Now, we're not going to get Penzone, and we're not going to get all 3,100 sheriffs in America. If we get 1,000, you're telling me that we can't get 1,000 sheriffs with we the people to stop the tyranny going on? We absolutely can make them irrelevant. And I'm against going to court, even though I did it. What I learned by going to court is that I shouldn't have gone to court.
Yeah.
Can I explain why?
Yeah.
We should have said no.
Yeah.
If you go to their courts and ask for permission to keep your oath, then you're helping them.
Yeah. He's right.
In retrospect, it was all inspired that we got it, but that's the number one lesson I learned. The sheriffs of Arizona should have stood together, even if we'd had just half of them, 7 or 8. And we said, no, we're not doing the Brady Bill here. I would have just loved that. No other sheriff wanted to do anything. In fact, they ridiculed me for doing it. So I will tell you 2 public officials that got behind me. Do you remember Governor Fife Symington?
Yes.
He did. Went public.
I've heard a
Was
lot of good
supporting
things
me.
about him.
The other one was this a new congressman by the name of Matt Salmon.
Oh, good to know.
Did you notice he was wearing our CSPOA hat today?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, he was wearing my hat.
Now, see.
So our CSPOA hat. We want all of you to wear that. And I'm going to tell you right now, the 2 best books on the Second Amendment. One was this is dated, but the stuff in there is so amazing and powerful. The statistics, the stories, the truth of the Second Amendment, and then I followed up and did a sequel to it, The Magic of Gun
Yeah,
Control.
I have that.
Let me read this one little tiny headliner, teaser, preview of the book. See how we are being deceived by political illusionists and realize the imminent dangers cloaked within the magic of gun control. Because if it did any good, gun control would have to be magic. Because it never has in world history. Never.
Right.
And so I leave that message with you, that we must stand united with our sheriffs. You must you must vet your sheriff. And I think he's a good man. But he needs to hear from you that we need to do more. Every sheriff in this state, even Mark Lamb, we've got to do more. And we've got to put ourselves on the line. And we've got a new resolution that those other counties are using that became constitutional counties. 2 or 3 of them even became members of the CSPOA. I want you to know something. I do not push membership from public officials. A lot of them have joined. Sheriff Songer and the 2 sheriffs I just mentioned doing investigations of that, they became life members, which is even more, like $500 or $1,000, to become a member, life members. I never asked them to. There's not a sheriff in this state or in this country that can say I've been hounding them to be members of the CSPOA. You know who I hound? You. The citizens should be funding this. And if I got all the sheriffs in the country to join, it wouldn't be enough funding for what we're doing. And my wife and I are doing this full time. And now I had to hire a scheduler because I couldn't keep up with this. And I should be talking to sheriffs on the phone every day. Instead, I'm trying to still fundraise for us to be able to go to our seminars. Texas sheriffs are on fire. And they keep calling me back to come and do more seminars. There's 254 sheriffs there. And I swear I've heard from all of them. They are on fire. And they've caught it. And you know why that they've come to our seminars and they came to our national convention? Because people asked them to. Their constituents. I didn't. Their constituents did. The power that you have created with this peaceful and effective solution is amazing. I want you to see the significance of that. I've had people that said our lawsuit bought the Second Amendment 20 years. Matt Simon came up today and he said, you saved the Second Amendment with your lawsuit.
Oh, I can.
And I said, I've had specialists say for the Second Amendment groups and NRA groups and like that, they said that the sheriffs that did this bought the Second Amendment 20 years. You might not know this. There were 5 Brady bills scheduled. We stopped number 1. Brady Bill 2 was introduced 2 weeks after I filed. At that point, I was the only sheriff in America that had filed. Prince joined about 3 weeks after that. Howard Menzenbaum from New York introduced Brady Bill 2 while number 1 had just been filed. Hadn't even gone to court yet. It didn't make it out of committee. After we won, you never heard from Brady Bills 2, 3, 4, and 5 again. Do you see what the power of the sheriffs did then?
Yeah.
We did more for the Second Amendment than all of Congress has in the past 100 years. Okay? This is where the solution lies. Locally.
It always does.
Locally. And may God bless you as you stand for liberty. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Sheriff Mack right now is has a table there with his books. If you would like to support him and get one of his books, and he also signed it. He drove all the way from Phoenix, Gilbert. So you're more than welcome to help him out if you want to. And please talk to him, ask him questions. We're here for you, okay? Please, thank you. Any question? Go ahead, please.
I already have his book. I already have his book.
Oh, good. Can we talk about our events?
Yeah. You can call. What's that?
Can they hear me?
You want to be easy to contact your elected official, go to jbs.org and sign up.
Just for the right.
And sign up. And
Just
your state, on your zip code. And then you will get alerts about the pending legislation. You'll be able to hear your text, email, or call your legislators and tell them what you feel about what they're doing. So just go to jbs.org and sign up.
All right. Before we leave it,
We have an announcement to make
stand up,
also.
please. Stand up. We have an announcement from Steve.
Okay, so Sonny Borelli has agreed to be our featured speaker at the Aquatic Center in Lake Havasu on Saturday, August 21st. We're having Calling All Patriots from noon to 4 p.m. Ron Gould, one of our supervisors, Travis Lingenfelter will be there. Hildy Angus will be there. Other featured speakers, John Gillette that was here today.
Kelly
And
Ward.
we're going to be talking, Kelly Ward. Candy has been the organizer of this. Candy Carbone back here from Kingman.
Right here.
Yeah. So we invite you all to come. We've got some, did you bring the flyers or do I have those?
They're at my house.
Okay. Havasu-patriots.com has everything.